On today's show, we are speaking all about anime, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's all in honor of the brand new movie coming out, My Hero Academia, Heroes Rising. All up on today's show. Hi, I'm JT McGuire, also known as Video Geek JT, and joined to my side is Ryan Big O'Regan.
Did you watch
And
like
this
a
is the
Dwayne Johnson video
JT
before?
and this is the JT and Big O podcast.
Wow, I think that's personally the longest you've ever drawn it out for.
I'm gonna keep seeing every week how much longer I can drag that
I was about to
out.
say, let's just see if we can do it for like the whole 30 minutes, the first 30, and then like the other half, just like, see if we can just like do like a 10-minute compilation video. It's like, just keep going.
It's like, why do you guys keep losing viewers on your stream? Well, you see.
Well, half the stream is just like a sound that's probably going to end up on the React channel. It's like, try not to get mad.
Like, I'll become a meme just going, and they'll put me alongside Mr. Kennedy, go, Mr. Kennedy.
Between you, The Rock, and Mr. Kennedy, yeah, it's like all like different vocalizations on
That's
the
right,
mic.
The Rock used to do that too. Like,
Of course,
with your
he was the first
smile.
one that did it, really. All right, topic-wise.
Yes.
So yes, with it being a rather slow news week this week, and not too much going off in the theaters, we're going to be talking all things anime. Because really, anime is something that we are both big fans of, and I know a lot of people out there are fans of anime. And unfortunately, I don't think we've really gotten to talk about it on the show in any real episodes that we've had, whether the newer ones or even the older ones. So I figure with the coming of the movie coming out this Wednesday, and really it would be silly to go ahead and try to put a review next week when so many people have already done it.
No.
I figured let's just go ahead and talk about it now, because why not?
I will bring this up real quick. A common friend of ours, Steve, has been bugging me for weeks about going to see this movie.
Yes.
He's been messaging me nonstop, and I've actually told him a few times.
Hi,
like,
Steve.
Hi, Steve. I've told him a few times I was probably not going to see the movie, and now because we're talking about it, and we might bring it up next week. Now I feel I have to go see the movie, and now I feel bad for consistently saying, like, I don't think I'm going to see this, Steve.
Why wouldn't you go see it? You're practically decked out in Deku right now. Like, obviously you're a fan.
I'm definitely a fan of the series, but you're an anime fan as well.
I'd say it's not something I was always growing up on. Like, obviously when I was in high school, you heard about like, DBZ and everything, mostly because of like the English import and Christopher Sabat and all the voice work they did.
Well, let's stick on DBZ for a second. Now, they've had, like, during the original run from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball GT, they had 10 movies that they made.
Right.
And the thing about all those movies is none of them had anything to do with the TV series.
Right. That was the beautiful thing about them. It's like they were just kind of like little outliers.
Well, I'm kind of the opposite. I feel like if it's meaningless, then I'm not too interested in it. They are some really pretty movies with a lot of cool action scenes. But I'm like, I always get into the story of some of these shows as well. Not saying I'm not against the action. Don't, because I know you twist my words
that's
sometimes.
okay. I'm not saying a word. I'm not saying a word.
But if it's not part of the point, it's like I'm sitting here for 2 hours to watch something that will never be brought up again in any other form of media for this series.
So now you take something like My Hero Academia. Now, the first movie they had come out, Two Heroes. That was kind of more of like a prequel. That was like some backstory.
That wasn't a prequel. That actually happened in the middle of...
Right, they had it in the episode, but it also gave backstory on All Might and his younger years.
But, that's a backstory that they may never address again. Or they may recon it as they go forward, because it's not what the original creator thought up of for All Might. So it's one of those things. It's going to probably be this really pretty action fest, and to see it in the theaters will probably be amazing, because it'll be boom, 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 and all this stuff.
That's probably the one thing that's bothering me most about the movie, because at least for Two Heroes, during the actual series run, they kind of alluded to the movie at one point. So it's like they had an episode skip, and I guess that was like the end of the season, and it kind of led into the movie and the events that went on. And then afterwards, you probably don't talk about it at all. As of right now, with the school festival arc that they're doing on the show, this almost feels like completely separate from the movie. Like the movie almost has nothing to do with what may be happening before or after the festival.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I follow more of the manga than I do the actual anime TV
And
series.
that's something
Now,
that always gets me about anime. Why do people hark on the manga so much? It's like I get that there's proper representations. You know, you can look at Full Metal Alchemist and really understand that, what, should be done from the source material and what shouldn't be done for the source material, and that the anime is only supposed to be made in order to sell more of the books. But why why do people hearken to the manga so much if the show is still decent? Like,
what do you mean? I don't get what you're talking. Are you saying that people who read the manga hate the TV series? Because that
in
hasn't
some
been.
cases, they'll say that it's not an accurate representation or that it's not doing justice to the book. And I'm like, it's a
Well,
completely different art form. It shouldn't.
people do that with actual books.
Yes.
Look,
But,
they
but the
complain
thing is, more
about Game of
people probably read
Thrones, Lord
anime
of the
than read regular
Rings.
books.
They do like that. That happens with movies. Like, well, the movie was nothing like the book. Yes, I know. They condensed what could have been a 10 episode miniseries into 2 hours. It happens.
Right. I mean,
And,
anyone
and
that,
same
anyone
thing
that
with
looks at the
anime.
Harry Potter series can see, you got to trim some fat here and there. But it seems more of like the vocal majority that go ahead and complain about manga
I
versus
don't.
anime.
I don't hear that much with anime though,
I
because
hear it more than I would with movies.
I hear the opposite because a lot of the time my experience being in the anime community to a certain degree.
Well, you used to run like whole
Yeah,
cons.
like yeah, and I say certain degree because I've also left that.
It's like
that
I dipped my toe in, and then someone tried to bite it.
it's fun. The community is fun, but it's like one day you look at yourself and you go, I'm 30, and you move on.
Hey, there were people older than us that have been
It's like
watching
you
for
look at
much
me now,
longer.
it's like you're 30. Like yeah, but still compared to I. I'm putting myself in the dangerous territory here. I still actually like conventions and stuff. I should say that, but at I'm not gonna say anymore. It's too dangerous. Too dangerous.
Don't shoot yourself in the foot at
No,
this moment.
nope. I'm talking about biting my toe off, and now I'm actually just aiming a bullet at it. Uh, so what were we talking about? We're talking about anime. Oh, manga.
Yeah, let me.
Well, my experience is really that the anime and the manga usually follow each other very, very closely. With maybe the anime cutting a little bit out for time constraint. Uh,
Again, I can think it would depend on which ones you're actually talking about. And like if you, like I said, Full Metal Alchemist,
like
there was the
the
first series that was like I don't know what they did in regards to the homunculi or father, and father wasn't even involved. And then they had to do Brotherhood, which was a more faithful adaptation. Now, that's not necessarily saying that the first series was bad. Certainly, anybody that didn't read the manga first probably wouldn't even have known about all these things that were missing or all these inconsistencies.
mhm.
And yeah, okay, Brotherhood is a much finer show, but I don't necessarily know if it needed to be rebooted so quickly because it almost really says like, oh, we kind of fucked up with the first series, so now this one series is going to make up for it.
I'm gonna be honest with you, and his name has been in the news, I think, for the last 2 years or so now. But
Hmm.
I never watched the series just because I never liked Vic Monunga. Uh,
Oh
and this is
yes,
before he went through the news. Like I've met him back in the day through the convention circuit. He's a jackass, and just
yeah,
because of him, I've been turned off by Full Metal Alchemist, even though it looks like a great story.
and it really is.
Then
And
again, you know what? I actually was watching the series all the way up until one episode, and I went, I'm out.
wait, what was the episode where you're out?
You know the episode.
No, I don't, and chances are the fans don't either.
Well, you see, the brothers met this nice sweet family with a nice sweet girl and a nice sweet dog and this
Okay, and
lovely
what was their
father.
names?
I can't actually remember their names at this point, but there's plenty of memes on them.
Hold on, let me look it up.
Do you actually know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do, but I want to hear you say it.
The names?
Yeah, well, I want you to go into depth about what it is about this particular episode, in case there are people, inquiring minds, that may want to go ahead and check it out for themselves
Well,
and have their own judgment.
here's the thing you have to understand. And again, I'm trying to retract what I saw. Like, was it 2004 when I originally watched it? So it was 16 years ago. Basically, there was an episode where the brothers the whole entire show is about alchemy, where they can transform one thing into another. And basically, I'm wondering if I'm explaining this poorly. The brothers actually tried to bring their mother back who had died, and instead they just caused more havoc to themselves, where the main character of I'm trying to think of his name now at the moment. I'm bad
Which
with names. I'm going to do this throughout the entire show.
which
As
one?
much as I love anime, I never remember names. The main character,
Which one? Like the one in the suit or the one with just the arm?
the Full Metal Alchemist, the one with the arm,
Oh, that would
Edward
be
Elric. That's
Edward.
it. Yeah. So Edward. Wow, I'm going to explain this very poorly. I did not prep for this at all. I actually didn't even think we were going to go into Full Metal Alchemist. Uh,
But we have to go ahead and like, tout ourselves as being like, okay, so we're talking about something of this nature
yeah.
because we know what we're talking about.
Well, here's the thing, and I'll actually bring this up as I go
And by the
on.
way,
I'm
it's the Tucker family that you were looking
the
for.
Tucker family. Yes.
And the little
I,
Nina
Little Nina.
and the father Shao or
Yeah.
Show. Is it Show or Shao?
I don't know.
Shao, because with the U. I've actually learned about like Japanese pronunciation and verbiage just by watching enough subtitle anime.
I'm better with numbers than I am sometimes with words, and it's really proven to me in my years of being involved with anime because I remember someplace we went to where they were speaking Japanese, and I didn't know what they were saying, but a friend of ours, also Mark, I don't know if you actually know Mark. Anyway, a friend of mine,
Yeah,
Mark.
okay, we'll go with that.
Um, Basically he understood what I'm saying. It's like, when did you learn Japanese? Like, well, we've been watching anime for like the last 20 years. It's like you pick up something, right? And I'm like, yeah. No. I picked up no Japanese in that time except for baka.
I've
And we
picked
all
up
know
some
why we picked up
words,
baka.
it's like I know what a bento is. I know yata, itsutakimasu.
What does ya? I know. I've heard yata. I don't know what yata means.
Yata is kind of like woohoo, yeah, cool.
So it's not actually a word. It's just
Well, I
something
mean,
that.
it is a word. It's like Yatta, but it's as far as
Okay.
like the meaning behind it. Because that's the funny thing. It's like you can have like a Japanese word, and depending on like more the inflection and the emotion behind it, it almost changes the definition, not so much the actual word itself. So that's what really surprises me. Because like say something like itadakimasu, where it's like you're pretty much just blessing your food and thank you for the meal and all that sort of stuff. You
Mhm.
know, depending on whether or not you're saying it low or saying it high or saying it loudly or saying it with other people, and it can always have like a slightly different translation. And you can see that when you see people saying it in anime and you go ahead and look at the subtitles, and the subtitle may not always be the same thing, even though it's the same word being said.
Mhm.
And I find that interesting because then it's like, okay, I get I get the sentimentality of what you're saying. Just I may not get the actual definition of what you're saying, but I can get the inflection, I can get the emotion behind it, and I think that makes it a little bit easier to
Well,
understand.
that's the reason I do like watching subs sometimes over the dubs is because you can get more passion in the voice. I don't always understand what they're saying, but
Right.
I can feel what
Whereas
they're
the
feeling
dubs
at
have
that
to
point.
like work with what they have and the mouthing and everything.
Yeah,
It's like trying to fit it in.
I had this discussion just before we actually started the show, and basically, there's nothing like they're talking about like what's better, sub or dub, and that's been an argument for years. I'm getting off topic. Before we even go in there, let's address the Full Metal Alchemist real quick because I don't like leaving
Oh, you don't want
a
to talk
loose
more about
strings.
Shao Tucker and his daughter Nina and their dog. So
Yes.
what happens?
So basically, basically it's a very tragic show where it's like there's a lot of comedy in it, but then like there all these things come out of nowhere. And back in the day, I was always more into the chipper animes. I like Dragon Ball Z because the hero always won in the end,
But there's so much death.
and there's death, but they always come back and they always get wished back. It's in the end, it's actually there's a lot of action, a lot of fighting, but it's always happy in the end. Whereas with this show, it's like almost every other week, some major tragedy happens. Someone gets eaten, this happens, that. And in this episode, it's like, okay, well, we're going to take this cute little girl and this dog. And, well, even before I get to that, we'll get to the father real fast, which they're basically, if I recall this episode correctly, the brothers were investigating something that the father did. He figured out how to get Bird to talk, but they couldn't figure out how he got to talk.
Well, they
And
figured that he was using Philosopher's Stone, which is their main
wait.
crux of
Yeah.
the whole thing.
So, but they're trying to, yeah. So they're basically trying to figure out how it happens, and then what they find out in the end is that the way he got the bird to talk was he turned his wife into a bird, and she died
Right,
because wife should not be a bird.
right.
So then they come to go after him to like stop him, and before they do, it turns out he took the dog and the girl and combined them into one being. And
Technically known as a chimera. Yes.
So basically, and this is not a good thing. You're combining two souls together, and you're in one sense destroying them, torturing them, and then at the end of the episode, instead of kind of fixing him or something like that, they run into another character who just kills him. It's like, I'm going to end your suffering. Boom.
Yeah, what was his name with
A
the
scar.
Yeah, Scar. All right, with the scar on his face because
Yes.
they were creative. But yeah, so you have this sad-looking dog with long hair talking to Brother Ed. Brother Ed, is
Edward.
that you? Edward. And then Shao, because that's the thing. It was like a matter of desperation. Because if he didn't come up with something, he was going to lose his license, and he
Yes.
wouldn't be able to practice.
And he sacrificed his daughter to do it.
But he got the license. Well, until he
No, he
got
didn't.
well,
Other things happened to him.
yes, but
He kind of got his
he
comeuppance, kind of.
accomplished what he was setting out to do. But God, just the fact that so many people hate that. I love that people hate that because I mean,
It was a very tragic moment.
it's disheartening, but it's not like you actually saw the formation happen. I'd
Well,
say if you saw that, it would be
you're a
worse.
horror movie fan. I think you, to a degree, have some enjoyment for seeing stuff like that. I'm someone I
I
don't
think
like
it's
seeing tragedy. I don't like bad things always happening to
right, but if you're
people.
talking about a show about alchemy and you're constantly showing like the circles and the equivalent exchange and the transmutations of things, and yet that one you don't show, like that probably would have been like key.
Well, think about it this way: how many people it bothered without even seeing it? So imagine if
Exactly.
they saw it.
It would be epic.
It probably would have turned everyone off of that series.
I don't know if it would have turned everyone off. I think it'd probably be more meme worthy at that point than it is now. Because,
Uh,
without the context, you're just looking at the sad dog. Anyone that's watched the show knows the sad dog. If you've never watched the show, you're just looking at a sad dog and you don't know what the issue is.
well,
But if you have like that gif of it, like just messing it up, that would be awesome.
I don't
And I'm
know.
not that morbid, I promise.
He is that morbid.
Aye, aye, aye.
You
All right.
you added a horror. Didn't you add a horror movie to today's reviews?
I mean, technically, not the horror movie, but certainly one of the more gruesome anime, popular, but still kind of gruesome
Oh,
anime that's come out in recent years.
I think you were telling me you put a list together for your stuff. I did not see the list, so I don't know what you're going to talk about today in terms of your list.
All right, but you at least saw the categories and everything, right?
I saw the
All
categories.
right, and did you make up any for yourself?
I'm gonna make them up on the fly because that's worked out for me so far on this show.
Okay, so to coincide with everything that we're talking in regards to anime, I did go ahead and figure we would compile a list about some of our favorites. So this way we can go ahead, share our likes and dislikes and such. And it was pretty much simple stuff. It was like favorite anime show, theme song, because the music on these shows is almost just as memorable as the shows themselves in many cases.
Hmm.
And pretty much if you're someone that goes on like one of these long-standing series, like if it's a One Piece or Naruto or something like that, and you do like one theme song and it catches on, they bring you back for like multiple seasons practically.
Yes,
It's almost like an industry where it's like just people working on anime music.
and I probably shouldn't mention this, but one of my favorite things to do now when I'm either cleaning or if I'm working and I need to kind of distraction at the same time, YouTube actually does offer tons and tons of compilations of theme songs from anime that you can listen back to back, like
Hmm.
an hour-long compilations. So but you know
From
what?
season to season to
Yeah.
season, yeah.
When we get to that category, you're gonna see how like I have a lot of favorite songs, but I don't remember names. So
Oh,
I'm gonna be bringing up
say
animes, not
I
the
do
actual song.
research. I know what to do here.
Yeah, and I build the tech setup, so I don't have time to
Yes.
research.
Fine,
I
fair,
come on
fair.
the fly. Everything.
So I went ahead and compiled my top three anime shows,
Hmm.
top three theme songs, top three characters and performances. I want to preface that because the thing is, I can definitely like other characters, but as far as like the people that portray them, especially in like subtitles, I don't know a lot of the subtitled, the original voice actors for the anime. So as
Hmm.
far as like actors are concerned, it's primarily ones that I've listened to in dub form.
Oh no, I'm twisting how you said that because you put performance in there. I'm talking about characters because again, I'm more of a manga reader at times, so I'll be talking more about the actual character than any type of portrayal of a character.
Fine, fine. And also my favorite and least favorite or worst anime trope,
Hmm.
which there are plenty of, and despite whatever series you're watching, despite the genre, there's tropes that just go throughout the decades, what from like the 80s, 90s, 2000s. Somehow these things just stick in there, good or bad. And I think that's one of the main characteristics of anime. It's like anime, regardless of how many of the different kinds there are, there's always like some common denominator in them, which you really maybe can't say about like domestic animation, whether it be, well, maybe Disney. You could probably say there's recurring tropes and themes through them, but
Yeah.
American anime and the stuff that we have here, it's different. It just feels different.
Yeah, I couldn't think of too much for that category. I mean, when we get to it, we'll talk about it, but
Sure.
I don't really think of a lot of the tropes that much, mostly because I guess I enjoy a lot of the tropes. But again, we'll get to that. Again, Ryan prepped for all this. I did not. All my stuff is on the fly. Let's see how well I do.
All
Ryan,
right.
would you like to start?
Sure. Well, we'll start simply with anime shows. And I did say movies because obviously there are a couple of good movies out there. Obviously, stuff like Akira, Ninja Scroll, stuff of that nature. Even a couple of movies that are directly connected to series themselves, even though the story may not coincide with the rest of the storyline of the series. However, um, and this is like no particular order, mind you. My top three series are Code Geass, Lelouch of the Rebellion,
Hmm.
which just has like such a great interwoven twist and turn sort of narrative. Have you ever watched it?
I watch bits and pieces. I'm not really a fan of the animation style, so that's kind of my
Is
one.
it too short for you? Like,
Yeah, I'm more of a like My Hero Academia. I like that type of style. So yeah.
okay, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, certainly no one can be as thin as the people are in this series. I mean, they're just like intensely, trimmed and sharp edges and very angular. It's a nice look, but also it's probably because it's also a semi-mecha anime, so you probably have to have that sort of animation style for it. But it's essentially it's Lelouch. He's a prince in Britannia, which in this universe, Britain took over Japan. Like the British Empire really expanded.
Hmm.
And of course, he's kind of one of those princes. It's like, I hate my father, I hate the empire, screw it all. And he ends up rescuing this girl who gives him this superpower known as Gias. And essentially, if he go ahead and uses on you, he will give you a command. He will tell you to something to do, and you have to do it regardless. If he told you to cluck like a chicken, you're not stopping yourself. If he told you, go massacre a large field of people, you're doing it. And then you'll have like no recollection of what you did after. And so he uses this, compiles a bunch of freedom fighters to work for him. It goes under a guise known as Zero, puts on a very cool mask. I almost really want this mask. And he starts a rebellion against the Empire, and he ends up like fighting his friend who becomes a soldier for the Empire. And it's really just like very meticulous in how he goes ahead and does everything as Zero and still keeps up the face of Lelouch, the prince. The back and forth of it, the subterfuge. I really like that. It's intense. And mind you, yes, I do know that with Lelouch and the Rebellion, we know about Table Kun. I know. Table Kun aside, it's still a great series. You don't know what Table Kun is, do you? Okay, I'll tell you. So, in this series, there is a particular character. I do forget her name. Kind of nerdy, curly haired glasses. You know the type of an anime that's usually more of a bookworm, kind of meek. Um, she apparently ends up having a fixation on Lelouch's cousin, who's one of the princesses, beloved by everybody.
Hmm.
But she gets obsessed, so much to the point that you see in the anime her rubbing herself up against the corner of a table, looking at a picture of the
Hmm.
princess.
I was trying to keep this a PG show. Yeah.
I didn't say anything graphic. I just said rubbing up against the corner of a table.
Yes.
Now, what happens when you do that is your own discretion.
So what's your next favorite anime?
Okay, 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 okay. Oh no, table coon. Oh, okay.
Uh,
Next one is a more recent one.
mhm.
Black Clover.
Okay.
I like Black Clover, and much in the same way I'm gonna like the next one I talk about, the third one. But there's such a wide character base, there's so many different personalities, so many different types. Um, and while the main protagonist himself may be annoying as hell, great protagonist, really just one of those, you can't keep me down kind of guys. It's good for shonen material, which of course shonen is usually the type of anime where you have like male protagonist and he's going ahead and fighting enemies and pretty much anything where you see like a guy fighting, that's a shonen. So I mean DBZ, One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, this and others, lots of shonens. Um, but the thing is, like, there's just something about it that in the first few episodes, people were saying, "Oh, this is going to be the next big shonen," and then they see the episodes and it's like trash. It started off so bad, so boring. People were like dissing it all right away. I wasn't one of them. I just kept watching from first episode on. It gets so progressively better, season after season, arc after arc. They just finished up the one of the big sprawling arcs ever since the beginning of the series, and the fights are just so epic. The anime style, like you're talking, as far as the fighting is concerned, the fights are bombastic, so fast paced, just flashing on the screen. Like how you don't have a seizure, I have no idea. But I'm guessing you haven't watched that deal or heard anything about it.
I haven't. There is a period of time I think between the late 2000s and now where I was basically I started my career and I didn't really have the time to sit down and watch certain animes. I catch one here and there.
Hmm.
It's just recently I've started watching more, so a lot of that stuff from like that period of time has kind of got lost.
Well, that's
Unless
the
it
thing.
was Sword Art Online, but I'll get to that one at some
Well, that's the
point.
thing about like shonens because if it's gonna be like a shonen, it's gonna be long standing. It's not like your typical, okay, we're gonna try 12, 13 episodes and see what happens.
Hmm.
So when it comes to shonens, it's like they go into like the hundreds of episodes. Like the longest running one, One Piece.
Yeah.
They're up to like how many episodes now? Like
Somewhere
600, 700.
yes,
They're
yes,
they're like in
yes.
Simpsons territory, and they haven't even been on for as many decades. It's continuous. I can't like that's one I will probably never be able to start, unfortunately, because I just think it's going to take up way too much time. But if you start at episode one and you work your way up, you get a
It
good grip.
I got into it in 2010 finally, and I did the manga route. I
Hmm.
ended up reading the manga because I could go at my own pace. It took me 2 to 3 weeks to catch up on it, and I think even at that point it was at 600 chapters, and that was 10 years ago. So
So imagine how much more there is now.
yes, yeah, I think there could possibly be over 1,000 at this point. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it could.
Yeah, and how many more powers can Monkey get? Like, seriously.
Well, you don't even watch the series, so you don't know what it's about.
Oh, I watch enough compilation videos. I know that, him looking for the One Piece, all the pirates, Gum Gum Fruit, all that sort of stuff. And,
Nope. I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up in my
all right,
top
fine.
list.
You keep, like, just throwing little bits of, like,
Oh
it's
yeah.
going to be in my list. I will tell you later. Stay tuned. It's
Yes.
like, just,
I'm still prepping it in my head as you're dealing with yours.
all right. So, again, main reason I like Black Clover is because it is actually so related to the third series, Fairy Tale.
Hmm.
I love me some fairy tale. Fairy tale is kind of like in the same realm that you're talking, where it's like a little bit more fun, a little bit more goofy. It has that appeal because certainly there's, I'd say, more humor laid into this series than probably most others, even if it's
Hmm.
just because of the character tropes. Whether it's Gray always taking off his clothing, or Urza always being like, the person in charge and beating up everybody when they don't listen. Kana always being drunk. Um, Natsu with his like motion sickness that he can't be on a train or he can't travel anywhere unless Happy's like flying him around. It's like it's just so silly. And these things come up during big matches, during big arcs and fights and everything, and yet still you'll see him just like on something moving like a big rock, and it's just it's like Natsu, get back in the fight! God damn it!
I've actually that is on my to watch list, but it's the same thing with you in One Piece. It's grown so big at this point that like I really need to sit
But
down
it
and
ended.
watch it. Oh, it
It
did end?
it finally ended. The final series ended just this last year. Um, you can, I think you can watch all of the dub on Hulu. I don't know if all of the no, definitely the final season is up there. I know that much, but because Hulu kind of has like an agreement with Funimation,
Hmm.
so some series goes up to Hulu after they've been on Funimation long enough. So that's how I was able to watch it. Because I started off with the dub, and I feel like if I start off with the dub, I have to continue on with the dub. Same thing if I start off and I start off as it's subtitled, then I watch it as that. I don't switch off because then it's just gonna be like a little unnerving to me. It jars me a bit.
Hmm.
So I've really just grown attached to that series. I'm sad that it's over, but as far as the progression, as far as the stories, the characters, it just there's it's a little bit of everything for everybody. There's the action, there's the romance, there's the humor. There's few shows that were like it. And mind you, yes, there are some shows that are still going on, but there are others that have gone off to the sunset like what it has. And so it's one of those things that it's perfectly encapsulated now and in the beginning and end series of it. There's nothing else that's going to come afterwards, although manga wise, there is another series by the same creator where the characters look exactly the same. So technically, there's a sequel series to it, and technically, there's
Technically.
still the 100 Year Quest, which who knows if we'll ever get a series on that or a movie on that or whatever. That's like the final little piece to the, I guess, the manga that hasn't been animated. So it's like, will they do it? We don't know. I really want them to
Is
do it.
there money?
Yes, is there money for it?
The quest for more money.
But as far as like any scenes and any actors from that, that is like my go-to. I could do like a top five or a top 10 if I wanted to, but still, I think Fairy Tale would be at the top of my list. I've actually cried 2 episodes of Fairy Tale.
Really?
Yes, because the emotion that they pile up when the chips are down and they're finally gotta get themselves back up, or someone just comes in and saves the day, or someone dies, and it's like, oh, damn it, what? Oh, no. It gets me. It gets to me, you know? Don't judge me for having emotions.
Judging.
Don't.
No, no,
No.
I'm not judging you.
All right. So you heard me tattle on. Do you have any favorite series?
I do, but I'm gonna go about this a little differently than you. I think you picked your all overall top three. With me, there's a lot of series I really, really like, and I don't think I can pick like a progression list. So what I'm gonna do, since it's a top three, I'm actually gonna pick a series out of three areas in which I do enjoy it.
That's fine. You
So
do you.
so the first one I'm going to talk about, and actually, again, I was working on my list as you were talking, so I got to figure out how I'm going to talk about this a bit. And again, I'm very bad with names, so I'm probably going to be doing more descriptions than names. I'm awful like that. I don't know why. But I'm going to start off with movies, like standalone movies, something that
Sure.
didn't involve really a series or a comic book compilation to go with it.
Okay.
And it's actually a series that's right behind you, which I said the word series, I meant movie, which is Princess Mononoke.
Ah, okay.
Yes. You can't, I don't think you guys can see it on camera. No, actually, you see Cowboy Bebop, you don't see Princess Mononoke, but it's right there behind Ryan as well.
All right. So you're going the Miyazaki route.
Yes.
All right.
It's actually, that is the anime that actually got me into anime.
Okay.
Now, I'd watched other stuff before that. Dragon Ball Z was actually something I was watching every day at that point.
Mhm.
But I was a Dragon Ball Z fan, not an anime fan. I wasn't going out of my way like, oh, I gotta watch this.
Right.
And then one day, nothing was on, and I'm flipping through channels, and I think Stars had this on.
I could see that. Yeah. Makes sense.
And I was like, oh, it's anime. Let's check it out.
Well,
And
wait. Was it the dubbed version or this original?
the dub version.
Okay.
I
So
actually I didn't see the sub version until around 3 years ago when it was re-released in theaters.
right. So who was playing the Princess Mononoke in that movie? Was it Claire Danes? I think.
Can't tell you.
Hold on.
Yeah, he's gonna look it up.
Go. I'll look it up. You keep talking.
Oh man, I wish I remember names because I'm gonna be very poorly explain this movie. But basically, it feels like a bit of an environmental movie to a certain degree because the whole thing is about human beings taking over forest land from animal spirits, and basically there's animal gods that live in this forest, including giant wolves, giant boars, and other such creatures. And this is where humans are now becoming industrialized, and they're building guns, and they're doing their manifest destiny.
Wow. This has quite the cast.
Oh, from the English version?
Yeah, so Claire Danes, I was right, is in it, plays San.
Hmm.
You got Billy Crudup as Ashitaka,
Hmm.
Billy Bob Thornton as Jigo,
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I did actually know
Minnie
that one.
Driver as Lady Ibushi,
Really?
John DiMaggio as Gonza.
John DiMaggio?
Yes,
Oh, you're talking about you say DiMaggio and I'm thinking Joe for some reason. You're talking about
Bender.
Bender.
I'm
Yeah.
back, baby. No, yeah.
What character did he play?
Uh, Gonza.
I don't remember his voice in that movie.
Well, I mean, this was like 1997, so chances are it didn't have like the same inflection that it does now. His
Well,
voice.
no, I think the dub came out around the same time Futurama started.
97? No, it would
Around
have been before that
no, I
because
think that no.
Futurama was like 99, 2000.
Yeah, I said the dub came out closer to when that happened.
Right.
Remember, anime didn't really start really hitting its strides till the early 2000s in this country.
Fair, fair.
So it took a little longer for dubs to come out, I
Who
think.
else? Gillian Anderson is in it as Moro. Jada Pinkett Smith as Toki. Keith David.
Yeah,
Keith
he's just
David's
going to
voice
keep
is
listing
great.
off the characters here.
No, I mean those are pretty much it. Then you're just getting into voice actors like Corey Burton, Tara Strong, those people that if you know anime, you know their voices,
Mhm.
animation voices.
Oh, actually, I will bring up a performance now that I'm thinking about it. You
Okay,
just reminded
but
me.
so you were watching this one, and
Yes.
this was kind of like what your
Yeah, this was my
overall.
gateway. This was my gateway drug for anime. Uh, it was such a beautiful anime. It was such a beautiful story. It was really about Japanese culture to a certain degree, and it really brought me in. I couldn't really explain to you. I guess but it's just that thing I experienced in watching it. If you've seen a Miyazaki film,
Well,
it follows the same kind of journey.
yeah, Miyazaki
But
films have like this that them and like Studio Ghibli. They just have like that pull.
I've seen other films of his, and I don't think it's spoken to me as well as this one did. When
Really? So
yeah,
like Howl's Moving Castle or any of
I did like Howl's Moving Castle. I to this day, you know, what bugs me. His most well known one is the one I really haven't gotten to see.
Spirited Away?
Yes,
You
uh,
haven't seen it?
I've seen like the last 10 minutes of it because it was on like again like HBO or Stars, and I saw it then. But with a lot of shows, and as you're going to see with this podcast, I don't get the time to really sit down and watch the things I want to see. And once I do
Fair.
have the time to sit down, I really have to be in the mood to see it. And I yet to be in the mood for Spirited Away.
Okay.
Uh, but I have seen Howl's Moving Castle. I saw The Cat Returns.
Mhm.
And actually, even before I knew I liked anime, I saw Kiki's Delivery Service, which was one of my favorites as a kid. I think I saw that when I was 9 years old or so.
All right. Yeah, as far as Miyazaki, I'd probably be more of like My Neighbor Totoro or Ponyo sort of
Which I
person.
didn't get as much into.
It was cute. I mean, big cats, fish girls, it's
Hmm.
it's, it's crazy. I haven't seen Cat Returns. I'd probably like that too.
Yeah, I've
And,
seen
and
bits
what's
of
the one with the pig pilot?
Nazca in the Valley of the Wind, I believe.
No, 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 no. It's about like a pig who's actually like a pilot, like a
Oh,
plane pilot.
the character rings a bell, but I thought the character was from Nazca.
No, he has his own movie.
Nah, I don't know what the old movie is.
If you
Oh,
know what the pig pilot movie
and,
is, tell us.
it's funny the fact that he started his entire career making a Lupin the Third film.
Oh wow, that was his. Oh yeah,
That was
no,
his first. That's what kind of launched his career.
yeah, it's funny because I mean, you think about the characters of Lupin the Third, and you see something like this, and it's like apples and oranges as far as
Yeah.
look.
Well, that's what happens. You in Hollywood, you take a property, you show that what you can do with it, and then your career might jump up a little further.
Right. Oh wait, which one was his? Is that the one with like the castle and everything? Hold
What?
on. The movie that he did, the Lupin the Third movie, is that the one with the castle?
I believe so. It's the one with the animation style that looks like it's Miyazaki's,
Well, I mean,
because the rest of Lupin the Film Third stuff looks like it's from the 1970s.
well, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like 1979 was Lupin the Third, Castle of Cagliostro.
Yeah, I think only one Lupin the
Yeah,
Third
Hayao
thing was.
Miyazaki. That was
Yeah,
his. Okay. Wow. So he did that one,
yeah.
and I like that
And
one
you can
too.
tell it. It's like everything. There's no other animation style for Lupin the Third that's like that, and it's
Right.
it's Miyazaki
Do you
style.
say Lupin or Lupin?
Lupin.
You say Lupin?
Yeah, because I remember the song as a kid. Lupin the Third.
Well, I thought that was just
Do,
inflection.
do,
I
do,
don't think because it's like
do.
Lupin the Third. Like You could say Lupin the Third instead of like sing it, but Lupin, it's like it
Lupin
sounds like
the
something you clean your
Third.
kitchen with. I mean, Lupin. Grab
I don't know.
Lupin at your store today.
How many times do Americans butcher foreign names, and vice versa?
True.
They once did Witchblade, like
Mm.
I think it was a DC comic book series, or at least an off print from
I
DC.
think it was like a Dark Horse.
No, I don't think I don't was it. No,
Witchblade?
I think no, I think it was DC. I think it wasn't part of the main DC continuity, but DC had sort of this off brand for original stuff, and I
Oh, well, like
think
where Wildcats is and everything, and Youngbloods and all that.
no, that was Image. That was Image, sir.
Well, that's what I
That
thought you
was
were
the
talking
start
about.
off of Image.
Right, but didn't DC buy that?
No, Image is still its own company. Tom McFarlane's never going to let them take that.
Oh, I could have sworn DC like owned that somehow.
No, no, they own another company, and I forget what it's called at the moment. They own a few companies that like they're not part of the main DC universe, but they're still separated. Like Static's technically not part of the
Oh,
main.
the Codaverse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
Dakotaverse,
separate.
and but there's like the Witchblade's a part of that too. And then I remember that was the first time I saw something from Japan about an American subject, and I went, "Oh, so you screw up our stuff too."
Oh, that's
I did
illegal.
not get into that series. It's not going to be on my my worst list, but it's I didn't like that series.
All right, so what would be your
Continuing my
second?
series, actually, just like you like Fairy Tale, I like One Piece.
Okay, okay.
I'm admittedly very far behind on it because it keeps going and going, and it's a lot sometimes to keep up with. But it's not to me just it's not another Dragon Ball. It's not a like oh he it's Lupin and or Lupin. I got Lupin on my brain.
Monkey D.
It's
Luffy.
Luffy, uh, and Luffy's just he's powering up further and further and further. What the beauty of One Piece is the world building.
Mm.
It's like whereas Dragon Ball Z is all about the character building and they're getting more and more powerful. Luffy is about all the places they explore and all the people they meet and just consistently building this world. Like there's this group over here, this land over here. It ends up being about the government at some point, and then there's these revolutionists here
It's like
and these
the
other
Disney World of anime, where it's like there's just an island for everything.
uh, to it. It's no, it's like the Earth. Like there's a country for everything.
Well, well, I mean, no, because then you even have like, well, where was it? I remember watching at one point, at least the dub version,
Hmm.
and I think where I fell off was the Cloud Kingdom or the Sky Kingdom
Hmm.
one, where everyone had like their wings and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where I kind of like fell off because it's like, okay, when are they going to be finished with this?
I forget what happens after that. Did they already face off against the
No, they were still up there. Like nothing had been resolved once I fell off, so I don't even know how it finished up there.
I don't think they defeated the main villain of that series, but I don't think they it's not like they killed him or anything.
No.
He kind of like just went off to do his own thing because
Hmm.
he was so powerful. Uh but I'm trying to think where else in the series did was what's his name part of the group at that point? Frankie? Was Frankie part of it?
I don't think so.
He
No.
was the giant
He's the
shipbuilder
mechanic
robot.
with like, yeah. No, I don't think he had joined
Oh,
yet.
it starts getting better after that.
Well, I'm sure it does, but I don't have eons to go ahead and invest in trying to get back into it.
It was just like I said, it's a lot of world building with that series. I couldn't even go into detail with it because it changes and evolves as it goes along. But it's about the to me it's about building the legend of Luffy. It's like if you talked about Blackbeard or think
Hmm.
of some hero and like they tell like Hercules, they tell legends of Hercules and stuff. This is you see a legend in the making. You see him when he's just going down the ocean in a barrel.
Yeah.
And it gets to this point where like the world knows who he is. And it's not like he's more powerful or anything. He's made himself more well known. He's done more things. He fights alongside other legends, and his name just keeps growing.
But his
And that's
powers
what
do progress as he goes along.
his powers do progress, but that's not part of the real series. It's not really the big thing about it. In fact, they try to do that power level thing, but their thing with power levels is like who has the biggest bounty. And if you think about it, that's not really a power level. That's what these people decide. This is how much it's worth for people to
Yeah,
capture you,
that's more of
dead
like
or
a
alive.
Trigun thing, really.
Yes. and that's a different
What
subject.
is it? The $60 billion double dollar bounty that was on
Yeah,
him.
but no. That's that they only set that limit with Vash, and then I'll get to Trigun at some point. Uh,
I don't doubt it.
yeah. Again, not on camera, but my Vash stuff. And actually, I have a giant picture over there, just like my other thing. Anyway, but it's hard to really get into it because of just how big the series is, and I've fallen off of it for the last 7 years now, so I have a lot to catch up on it myself. Like I actually one weekend I actually just sat down and I went through the anime, and that took the entire weekend. And all I did was I caught myself up on the last saga that I had been keeping up with,
Yeah.
which I thought was like, oh, this will be probably just 10 more chapters of the manga. Well, if I'm judging by the anime had another 40, 50 episodes of that saga, so it probably was going on for a little bit longer than I thought. Uh, and now there's even more to that like I'm hearing about, like, oh god, and they added more characters.
Yeah, there's the skeleton that plays piano,
Well,
and
I was kept up with those, but those are cool characters too. And actually, this you again fell off. The skeleton is a part of another group that was mentioned way earlier in the series, so he's kind of a throwback, but you don't learn about that till later on.
and then they just added a new character, I think, too. Some
I
like
heard
cat
that.
girl or something like that.
What?
I think it's some girl that's like kind of like animal oriented. I think it's a cat girl.
I'll,
I may
I'll
be wrong. It may be a different animal, but
I saw this as we started this
maybe a bunny
series,
girl.
and
It's either a cat girl or a bunny. It's a girl with ears. I know that much.
okay.
I'm not a
Uh,
furry. You know, me and Dan Evidan, but not furries.
well, this is a world of magic, so they do, like, if you eat certain things, some things happen to you. So it's probably one of those type of deals, like she ate the bunny fruit or something like
The
that.
hop hop. They'd probably call it the hop hop. Let's be funny. The
No.
hop hop or the bunny bunny.
Everything in this series is like a double word, like the gummy fruit, the lightning fruit, or something like that.
Right.
It's all the devil fruits, but it's a good series. It's. I wish I could go into it more, but I didn't really prep for this. But I'm just gonna say, it's, if you have the time for like a month to sit down and catch up on the series, it's a good one. And I'll give a shout out to Viz, even though they don't pay us stuff and they never will. Viz is actually, for $1.99 a month, will let you read anything from their collection through their website, including One Piece, My Hero Academia, I believe Dragon Ball is on there, and much more.
Nice.
And I'm going to catch up on One Piece one day. I have the tools at my disposal.
Yes. One day he will get to the Grand Line and he will
Yes.
find the One Piece and become king of the pirates.
They are saying they are nearing the end, though, so that's the series is probably going to end in the next few
Well, yeah,
3-4
provided the
years.
writer doesn't die. So I mean, at this point,
Then suddenly the artist had a heart attack.
it's like I'm finally ending it. I can die now.
All right, so
Me and Ace. Oh.
oh wow, we're almost through the hour. We have only gone through one of the lists. We might have to cut some things.
Well, no, I mean, I won't talk about as much of the other stuff since I won't be able to do the audio or anything like that. But
Okay. All right. My last one that I'm going to mention on mine
Go ahead.
is Kill la Kill.
Oh,
This
okay.
is actually one of my favorites. I remember watching it when they were making the episodes and releasing it weekly. There's so many things. I wish I planned the camera today because I actually do have up here, and it's tied, so I can't really bring it down.
The scissor sword.
The sword from the series. I'm just going to explain the first episode because that's all I knew going into the series, and it didn't explain anything else of the series.
All right.
It's a quiet scene in a classroom. They're learning from a really boring teacher, and suddenly, explosion. And and basically they are in a private prep school, very highly regarded school, and one of the people from the class, what do they call that group back in the day? Like the class government, the student council, something like that.
Yeah, that's
I think I'll call this.
it was like 5 of them. I remember that much.
Yeah, so it's their student council, and like the vice president comes in, or the treasurer, or the secretary, one of those guys. Mm-hmm. And the teacher tries to say, well, you should be, I am in charge. And then you learn
Oh,
who's
the big
really
guy.
in charge
Yeah,
of school.
I think it was the treasurer, if I
Yes.
remember correctly.
So he's like, one of the students here stole a uniform. And it's like, ooh. And you see the guy there, and he's all shaky. Mm-hmm. and he throws a smoke bomb and he runs away and there's this big long chase and all these action scenes and they're tumbling and they're fighting and they're throwing and the camera's chasing them. And then he pulls out this costume, or not costume. It's a school uniform, and as we turns out, all the school uniforms have some form of power.
Well, not all. The
Certain
simple
ones, certain
don't.
ones, custom made ones, which are explained later into the series why they're custom made and how that all happens. He puts it
Weird
on,
shit, man.
and he transforms him. He's super powerful, and the treasurer is like, well, yes, you can see now how powerful those suits are. Too bad yours is a level 1 and mine's a level 3.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, destroyed. uh, and
And that's
then,
not even getting into the main protagonist
yeah,
yet.
and that's just the series starting, and then you get a zoom out of the entire school, and the main protagonist, which is a girl by the name of Riku,
Right.
who is standing outside with this sword, which looks like one half a pair of scissors. And she's there because she needs to find out who killed her father, and the person who knows is inside.
Yes.
And that's the start of the series.
And then it's like a battle of the week sort of thing where she just goes ahead and tries to fight up the hierarchy.
And that's only for the first 4 episodes. And at that point, it's just a wacky series to watch. So it's like, okay, there's no real plot here, but it's fun to watch, and all this stuff's happening. It's good like popcorn, like And then I think
I do love the one teacher that is always trying to like take off his clothing, like complete nudist.
we'll get to that.
Oh,
We'll
but
get to that.
he's my favorite.
No, we'll get to that. So it goes in that progression of a battle of the week, because it turns out that the class president, she knows who killed her father, or might know information about who killed her father, but she won't tell her. So Riku goes after her, and again, people with super powered school uniforms, gets her butt kicked, runs away. While she is run away, suddenly she is to some place where a creature comes out and says, I can help you. And she doesn't know who it is, but it grabs her and attacks her. And all of a sudden, she finds herself in this school uniform herself that's talking to her.
With one eye and one X over it.
Yes. And it gives her superpowers.
And a
she's
very revealing suit.
Yes. I will get to it. I have a comment. I will get to it. And she comes back and she beats up one of the people who beat her up, and she proves that she has powers too, and she's here to stay, and she's going to find out who killed her father. That's episode 1. And then again, progression of the week. And again, popcorn. Oh God, there's a real story here. And it dives in further and further and further. And you find yourself strangely becoming very, very invested in an anime you shouldn't be that invested in. And that's why I love that anime.
It gets weird.
It gets weird, but the story gets so much better too. It's a strange series. You can't tell anyone you like this series, even though I'm here saying it's my favorite series. I tried once to tell someone. This is where I was trying to get at. I once said to another anime fan who, at least I had just started talking to her, and again, a woman here too. This is why it gets. So I started saying to her, like, yeah, I'm into anime and I watch this. Oh, what do you watch? Well, the one I'm watching right now is Kill la Kill. And she goes, wait, is that the one where they get more powerful the more naked they get? And it's like, well, no, oh God, that's what it is.
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true for all of them. I'm
to a certain degree, but
I wouldn't say more naked, but certainly the costumes become more elaborate.
What the series ends up being about is clothing, and how both. I don't know the message Trigger was trying to give with it, but this is what made me love Trigger. All I can say to you is weird as hell. It's goofy as hell. If you're a fan of Deadpool or Harley Quinn in the American comics, give this one a shot. You might not like it still, but I have a feeling you would.
The fashion industry is corrupt. Yes.
Yes, and that was part of it. And also, the one who, the lead villain in this series ended up stealing the title of worst parent from Genko.
Something I've noticed. Practically every series seems to have like that one pinpoint moment where it's like, oh, you have to bring that up. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. It's like, that's almost like, the gateway in itself. If you want to introduce a series to somebody, I don't know if you necessarily introduce them via the first episode or a particular arc or anything. You have to go to the moment because you have to see whether or not they can survive that. If they can survive that, then they'll be invested, I think.
But well, and that's way in the series. That's near the end that happens.
Exactly. But I mean, the people do enough
And
like
it happens
clips
to
and
another villain, so it's kind of the face turn for the villain for the first half of the
yes,
series.
yeah, yeah. When you find out what the underlying methodology
Yeah.
is to
So
everything she
I want to
does.
spoil it for anyone who hasn't watched it, even though it's technically been out for almost a decade now.
Oh
Uh,
God, it's been that long.
well, maybe not that. 2013, I believe it came out.
Okay, that makes more
2012,
sense.
2013. So almost 8, 7, 8 years.
All right, that's fair. All right, so as far as the other categories, obviously I can go ahead and sprawl through them real quick.
Hmm.
Um, now, like I said, there was also favorite theme songs because, mind you, with the theme song of an anime, the right one can really introduce you not even just to the particular season that's going on for the anime, but probably the whole series. It's like the amuse bouche. It cleanses the palate and gets you ready. And it could be the beginning, it could be the ending theme because there were some good ending themes too. If you look at certain animes, and really, I pretty much just focus on the beginnings because I feel like it's the kind that really just like get you amped and ready for what you're about to watch. My three particular favorites, and unfortunately, we won't be able to play any of the actual music, but I'll give you the full detail of the song so you can look it up. There's "Hey Kids" by the Oral Cigarettes, which come from the second season of Noragami Arigato. Um,
Hmm.
it's so poppy. Oh, it's just like if I could hum it.
Look it up on YouTube. If you're wondering why I'm doing this, I told Ryan we can't play the music because it's copyright protected, and I'm sure no one's going to come down on us. But I'm paranoid like that. I've worked in television for 10 years.
Yeah, so instead I hum a few bars.
Yeah.
It's like name that tune,
Yeah.
It's like, but now Noragami is like just one of those series where it's kind of like, yeah, you have to really like get invested into it. You have to want to be invested. You just can't casually watch it
Hmm.
because it's more about the character depth and what goes on with them more so than just the series itself. But as far as like getting you amped for a show that's a little bit more mellow,
Hmm.
this song goes ahead and just really throws you into it. People love the first season song too, but I prefer this one because it it's a real heightener. It's not like overly processed dance hall music that some animes go for, where it's so friggin' digital that it's like blowing out your speakers.
Hmm.
This one is just like a casual kind of like amped up rock song, and I've seen that in a lot of anime music where if you're a band and you land with a good song, they will bring you back. That is a career. And they really try to focus, I think, more on like band music and bands in that sense rather than just individual singers or DJs and stuff like that. So you'll see a lot more developing bands. There's very few bands that I can remember, but you got things like Back On or Overworld and Mad Kid. People that I've only learned about and have been able to discover their whole discography because of hearing their songs in these animes. And Oral Cigarettes just happens to be one of them. They're like on the lower end of the spectrum in regards to how many good hits they have, but it's a really fun song. I don't know if you heard it. Definitely go ahead check that one out if you just want to go ahead and like take it to the gym and get you ready for your workout. That's the kind of music it is. Um, Second would be Viva Namida from, I mean, hope I don't butcher this. Yasuyuki Okamura from Space Dandy. Now, you want to talk about like crazy? That show is crazy. The
I can get into that one.
Space Dandy is just like so wacky, and it knows it's wacky. It's almost like Deadpoolish in that sense. And so you kind of just have like this smooth sort of bop to it. It's very pop oriented, but it really just gives you like a lighthearted feel to the series. And mind you, it's not like anything super long. It's got like I think it's just the 26 episode standard that you'd get, so it doesn't have a second season, even though they probably could someday. But just as a song alone, it's something that you could easily just like put in your car and like roll down the windows on a nice warm day and just like cruise a highway and just like have this playing on in the background. It's like I'm doing the best I can with the humming.
Yeah.
I really am, but
I hate to say it too. We're hitting the hour mark, and we do gotta kind of wrap it up a little bit. So,
because we've never gone over an hour.
well, we also started late.
Fair, fair, fair. All right. Third, this is definitely a little bit more metal.
Okay.
Veracity by Myth and Royd from Overlord Season 3. Now, the other songs for Overlord, very good. This one is just kind of like almost visceral of a sound. Myth and Royd have that certain sound to them, and it's a female duo, and it's kind of like baby metal
Yes.
and what they do.
Yes.
It's almost in that same feel. They've done other type of music, but something like Veracity coming from them is just really kind of like it
And
sets the tone for the series.
that was their season three intro, correct?
That was just the season 3 intro, but when you really like listen to the lyrics and you listen to the song,
It's very disturbing.
it is disturbing. However, it is also the whole mentality of the 3-season arc that we've gotten with Overlord, where it's this, it's an isekai with this guy who pretty much becomes his digital avatar, and he slowly but surely is leaning away from being a guy who doesn't know how we should be and what's going on in this world to embracing the villain within and just pretty much going full balls to the wall bad guy. And I think you really get that feel from the season 3 song more so than the first two. And if this is all that we get for Overlord, I think it's a nice wrap up. It's a nice crux to it. You know, if I'm gonna listen to something where it's like, okay, I'm supposed to be watching this guy, I'm supposed to be feeling for this guy, but he is the bad guy. This is bad guy music, and
Hmm.
it really fits Ainz Al Ghul to a T. That's pretty much all I have to say on those three.
Okay. I'm just gonna fly through the ones that I have real quick, and these are ones that are actually on my main playlist, so this is how much I actually enjoy them. I'll just start with one where I actually argued with you a while back as one of the best theme songs I've ever heard, and it was Sasuke's theme from Kill la Kill. I always felt that was like a really badass theme that she had, like da 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 dun da 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 dun da da da. It's like this march theme, like
Yeah, it's got
she's
like a Star
coming
Wars
in.
kind of feel to it.
Yes. And it's just like, and that's how she comes in the scene. Like, in the first thing you see is always her heel hitting the floor,
Hmm.
and she's just there, like, someone dare challenge me. I always love that theme. I also, as I started to listen more to the theme songs, I got into You Say Run, which is the main theme from My Hero Academia. Not
What?
the opening theme, but the main running theme throughout the entire show.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, if you ever listen to the show, you've heard the song. It plays almost any time that. Trying to think, it's whenever a hero's powering up. Like, if you remember the video meme of All Might, where he at the end of the series he's like, "I have the power of blah 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 inside me," and he beats it. That's the song playing in the background.
Okay.
Is
Okay.
You Say Run. And a series I've never actually watched, and I don't know if I ever will watch it because I'm admittedly not a big mecha fan,
Hmm.
but I do like the song. I'm probably gonna butcher the name of it. Makazi from Aldona Zero.
I'll
I
go on zero. Yeah.
Yeah. So that I've never seen the series, but I love that song. I listen to it consistently.
I've seen things about it. I know there's like a twist somewhere from season 1 to season 2 that just like flips everything.
Hmm.
But yeah,
I
outside of that, I don't know much about the series. So
Yeah,
that's an odd one.
I've seen other people talk about like how they had high hopes for it and it just didn't turn out the way they wanted it to.
Yeah,
But
it's interesting what a couple of gunshots can do.
so I hate to say it, we the studio that we use is not in. It's not always available to us for a long time, and I really we need to wrap up a little bit here. So I figure we only have enough time really again to one more subject. So do we touch upon characters or we touch on our worst anime? I personally would like characters because I could probably bring up more about characters than worst anime.
That's fine. That's fine. We can save tropes for another day or something
Hmm.
else. Mine, I'll go real quick. Because again, like I said, since these are more so for the dubs, I'm going to be mentioning the character and the actor that
Hmm.
I went ahead and voiced them. First one, Natsu Dragneel, played by Todd Haberkorn, who is also a regular contributor to Watch Mojo. Not that we're sponsored by Watch Mojo, but if they ever want to go ahead and get another voice actor. But yeah, Natsu Dragneel in Todd Haberkorn form is just it. It literally gets me all fired up. You know, he's just such a fun protagonist in that voice. Whether he's angry, whether he's hungry, whether he's fighting Gray, whether he's fighting somebody else, whether he's just goofing on Lucy. It's just an all-around guy. I'd love to share a drink with him, and if he didn't have the motion sickness and possibly throw up on me. So I love the Todd Haberkorn Natsu. Nothing against anyone overseas and the original voice actors. It's just I grew up on that Natsu. So Todd Haberkorn, and he's done. Mind you, all these actors have done many other things, but these are the characters that speak to me from what they've done. Second, going back to Lelouch, you got Lelouch, the kind of Lelouch and Ichigo Kurosaki from Bleach. Both of them played by Johnny Young Bosch, formerly the Black Ranger of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He is a guy who has just really gone ahead, taken his career, and went off. Like, imagine starting off as like the Black Ranger, who took the Asian guy who took over for the Black Ranger, and now rolling that into a successful voice acting career.
Yeah, I think he's now more well known as a voice actor specifically for anime than has been for the Power Ranger.
And yet they have brought him back. They've brought him back for like certain sequel seasons.
He's one of the few though they consistently bring back, and I think that's because of his popularity within the geek community as a dubber.
Right, it's pretty much either him or Jason David Frank.
Because he was Ichigo in Bleach, which is probably where
that's
he
what I
got
said. Yeah.
Most fun. Oh, I thought you were saying Lucius, or
Well, it was kind of like a tie sort of thing because I like his characterization on both. He's just got one of those voices. It's like when you hear it, you know
who it
it's
is.
him.
Yeah.
Much in the same way he also played Vash the Stampede.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you. Hey, guess who was going to be on my favorite list and who I was going to talk about?
well, now we've shortened it a little bit for
Thank you.
Well, you can't fault me for calling out first. If you had seen the list, you would have known.
Yeah, well, I looked at your list. You didn't have your list mentioned out. The only thing I saw was episode 15.
All right, third one is a bit of a cheat because it's two actors, but I like redheads. I'm a sucker for them. So I've got to go with my two favorite redheaded characters, and that would be Rias Gremory from High School DxD and Urza Scarlet from Fairy Tail. Both of them respectively played by Jamie Marchi and Colleen Clickenbeard.
No Oscar from Evangelion?
You might hate me for this, but I've never actually watched Neo Genesis Evangelion.
I'm not going to hate you on it. If we were bringing up our worst list, guess what was going to be on it?
Well, I know
There's
it
a
has
story
its
to that.
problems.
I'll bring it up another time.
Right.
Uh,
But yeah, as far as like female characters, they just always have a commanding presence, regardless of what character they're doing. And I think that's what really gets me over when a woman's becoming a voice actress and they're not just going for like the atypical girl in trouble or, love interest sort of parts. These are women that are actually like, the command in their field. They're the boss. And they really, when you hear it, it's like, it's feminine and it's alluring, but it's also like, don't fuck with me. And of course they're redhead, so the Irish in me automatically goes there.
which, by the way, redhead, but you know what her background is? I'm putting Oscar right now from Evangelion. German and Japanese, but a redhead. Figure that one out.
The German side, I could say yes.
So to jump into mine real quick, only one of these characters is my true favorite, but I'm gonna throw in some to kind of add out the list. I'm gonna bring up Vegeta first, and I won't have to explain much about Vegeta because Vegeta is very, very well known. But I was watching this series since 97, 98, and I got introduced to him way back in the day. So it's not like I'm jumping onto a fad here with anything. Vegeta was just always one of my favorites since the Frieza saga because he was like sort of that middle ground. He wasn't a good guy, he wasn't a bad guy at that point.
He was almost like the start of the trope because now there's in the miniseries there's always like that bad guy that turns good and is like still
specifically they say you're the Vegeta of the series.
Yes.
So again, I don't have to go much into Vegeta. Vegeta is the trope, so we'll just stick it there.
He is the Prince of all Saiyans.
The second one I'm going to talk about, which I wasn't sure if I was going to bring up because the character is kind of considered the Vegeta of their series.
Okay.
But I'm going to still add them because there was a slight twist in their storyline that makes them very different than Vegeta, and that is Homura from Magic Girl Madoka. Now, for anyone who has not watched this series, Magic Girl Madoka is basically an anime that took the Magic Girl trope and every trope actually from Magic Girl animes, and just turned it right on its freaking head.
Right.
It's because every time they do one of the tropes, like I'm gonna fight for my friends. Nope, that was a
What?
mistake. Well,
Wait.
I'm gonna fight through the pain. Nope, that was a mistake too.
Yeah.
And I won't. And then in this series, they have this one girl who is always like, "Screw all of you. I'm gonna do this by myself." Well, no, we need to be friends. No. Well, and you're like, why is she such an asshole through this entire series? And then you get to like the last few episodes and
Hmm.
you learn about the character, and that's what made me like her. It's one, I'm a big fan of time travelers, and that's her main power is time travel.
Right.
And you just learn that the character isn't really an asshole. It's just someone who's been went through a lot of pain, and they created this persona in order to fight through the problems that they've already seen because they've dealt with that problem over and over again.
And boy, when that movie that follows it comes out,
I haven't even seen the movie.
oh, I did.
The series alone is messed up, but
Oh no, you gotta watch the movie, man. That's all
all right.
right.
And my final one, which you jackass, my favorite character of all time is Vash the Stampede. For the longest time, I used to tell people my favorite anime series was Trigun. It's not. I was not a big fan of the series looking back at it, but I love that character. It for the longest time, the characters I had always seen was those like super depressed characters. Like
Hmm.
I've been through all this pain and stuff, and then you get like this really wacky, goofy character, and you're like, what the hell is this guy? And you learn there's a much deeper side to him. The first time that he goes all out, which is episode 4 of the series,
Hmm.
where it's like, oh, that goofball, he's just a moron, an idiot, and then he faces off against like this big villain.
Yeah.
Done. I'm like, oh god, he actually is Vash the Stampede. Because the other part of for the first few episodes is them going like, it's not Vash. He's an idiot,
Right.
and then you learn. I've never seen a character to that point. Now I've started watching like Doctor Who the Doctor is a very similar character to that as well. But Vash was the first time I had ever really seen that, and it always kind of appealed to me. He's got a cool factor from how he looks to. In fact, how I got into the series was a meme, or not even a meme. It was me on the discussion forums arguing with people, and me looking for a picture to describe how it was arguing on the forums. And I just found this picture of a guy with 3 guns pointed at his head. And I'm like, I'm gonna use that. And it was Vash.
Yeah, that works.
And you brought up Johnny Young Bosch. I think I could be wrong, but I believe Vash was actually the first character he ever his voice. And it was the first time I had heard him as a voice actor.
It would make sense. I think that is correct simply because of like when when Trigun itself actually came out, it was like mid 90s.
98.
Yeah. So that would have been just like after he finally got off of Power Rangers.
Yes.
So that was like his transition. And yeah, I mean, for me, like Trigun and Vash kind of always like in some weird way it also compared to like Spike Spiegel and Cowboy Bebop. They just both seemed very similar, but they seemed like two sides of the same coin in regards to like coolness factor. But one was happy-go-lucky and the other one was like super
Yeah.
depressive.
Yeah, the other one, like you've seen that a million times. Even though he was a little more laid back and stuff like that, he was still the dark tone character. I'm talking about Spike.
Yeah.
And World Ash was just sort of the more goofy and happy go lucky and everything's fine, even though deep down inside it's like the world is terrible.
Hmm.
He's a perfect picture of depression right there.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oof.
But again, I've always liked how he looked. I always liked what a badass he was, and I liked the character and in all the little things, and including the fact of putting the no kill policy on himself, and like
Very
just
Batman of him.
yeah, even worse than Batman. At least like it always backfires on Vash because of course in the series there's another character who wants him to start killing people, and that ends up being part of the storyline is
Hmm.
trying to get Vash to kill.
Does it also help that he was a cowboy, in a sense?
Yes. Yes, they did.
Not a Jersey cowboy.
It was kind of funny how they're on a planet, but because their technology's kind of reverted a bit, they don't have the same. They created this sort of cowboy type environment there on an entire planet, and they even call it Gunsmoke for some reason.
Right.
So,
And then they have like the sequel spiritual series that came out on Netflix, Cannon Busters, which feels very Trigun-y if you ever
but like
watch
I
it.
said, I've never been a big fan of the actual series because I had for years I had all the merchandise, sort of like what I'm doing right now with My Hero Academia. But I used to have someone who come up to me and talk to me about like, oh, you love this series and this and this and that. I'm like, you know what? I don't really care. I like Vash. That's
Yeah.
about it. The rest of it's kind of plain.
Would you ever cosplay as Vash Stampede?
If I were 100 pounds skinnier and still had hair, yes, yes, I
That
would.
did you not know how cosplay works? It does not matter
I
what
know.
your body is. If you want to be the character, be the character. Shoot your shot.
No, you know what? I do not judge anyone for how but if I did it, I want to kind of do it justice. And I feel in my current body type, I can do Coop from Megas XLR justice. Not that, not skinny
Hey,
Vash the
he's a Jersey
Stampede.
boy, so it fits.
Yes, living here in Jersey. All right, so I'm gonna say it's time for us to wrap up.
Yeah, this has been a very productive, sort of almost educational because I
Yeah.
wasn't really sure where your tastes lie. I know what you have posted up, but I
Hmm.
wasn't sure if that was simply the extent, and I've actually learned a bit about you, and
Yeah.
hopefully I haven't turned out to be too geeky on all this, but
No, I didn't even realize you watched anime. You were the one that came up with today's topic too, and I was like, really? You want to talk about anime?
well, to be fair, there's nothing else going on. It's like no one's going to see Call of the Wild in movie theaters right now with that
Yeah.
stupid digital Scooby-Doo dog. So,
We're wrapping up, but I do want to bring up real quick. I did see Harrison Ford on Jimmy Kimmel recently promoting Call of the Wild, and I think he's losing his mind.
oh yeah, no, yeah.
And in fact, they were showing clips of the movie, and he's acting the same way in the movie. And I'm like, I think you're done, Harrison. I think it's time to call it a
I
career.
think the plane crash really got to him.
Yeah, he wasn't a he walked away from the plane crash, but maybe a smart piece of him stayed on that field.
Yeah, like I'm glad they almost killed off Han in the first.
Eee.
I know because think about it. If they had to go ahead and drag him out all three movies, oh, that could have been dangerous. More so than what they've already done to the series.
It's worse than
And
Carrie
they're,
Fisher.
and they're still doing Indiana Jones 5 that he is going to be in. Harrison, you've
They-
got enough money. Take the L. Go to sleep. Go to an island somewhere. Just
uh,
you can stop. We don't want to see you die on set. Your mind's already gone. You're talking to a cartoon dog. Mind you, Disney just pretty much did like a whole dog in the snow movie on Disney Plus called Togo.
it's Disney. They'll do some over and over and over again if they think it gets
They,
some money.
but they at least used a real dog for that one. It wasn't like Lady and the Tramp with the CGI
Yeah, it
animals.
was really weird. But anyway, yeah, we got to wrap
Harrison,
up, unfortunately.
go. Just go. Watch
Subject-
some anime, Harrison.
Subjects for another day. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this was another episode of the JT and Big O podcast, episode number 15. Again, you can catch us on the web. We're many different locations. Listen to us on Podbean and Spotify. Watch us on our YouTube page. Look up JT Big O. We also have this Twitch page, which I just discovered we can actually put clips there too. So you'll probably be able to watch replays there
Sweet.
as soon as I figure out how to do that. You can catch us on our own social media pages. Mine, check out videogeekjt.com to get my Instagram, Twitter, and I think I have other things. And Mr. Big O'Regan over here, he
You're really loving the big part, aren't
yeah.
you?
Well, it's part of our title.
I know, but the fact that you
Yeah.
focus on it. Yes, you can go ahead and find me on Instagram, Twitter at Real or Deal, and you can always go ahead and check out Real or Deal Entertainment on Facebook, which is also the branding page. Check out the video a day progress that I'm doing. You can also check out the Real or Deal, which is what I use for many of my movie reviews. And yeah, pretty much just go ahead, sign up on GT and Big O, follow us everywhere, watch us everywhere, like, subscribe, hit a bell, do all the things that you got to do. Just keep doing them.
And with that, I thank you again for joining us for another episode. I bid you adieu. Bye-bye.
Yatta!